Welcome to another episode on the couch with
Shuntai Johnell
and Reginald Allen back.
Wow. So today we're talking about life after the NFL, and we have with us Reginald Allen.
Look at
Yes,
Good to be here.
yes. Welcome to the couch.
Thank you. Thank you.
Be careful on that couch.
So tell us about who is Reginald Allen.
Just an average guy, I believe. Just from Flint, Michigan. Went to Beecher High School.
All right.
Went to Central Michigan. Graduated there. Went to the NFL as a free agent in 1999.
Okay.
You know,
So I want, what team did you play for?
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills.
The Bills. So you can't start off a show and say NFL, average dude. Statistics are statistics. 1 out of 3,000 people make it. So don't come with us with the average stuff here. You on the couch. Let's get this right.
So tell us about your NFL career.
Short-lived. Short-lived. It was injury-prone, but good time. It opened my eyes to a world of experiences that, you know, it changed the course of what I thought I wanted to be. I wanted to be a Michigan State trooper. That was my dream job.
Okay.
Go from there to the FBI and all this other stuff, but that didn't quite happen. You know? So NFL taught me some things, showed me some things, and it changed my direction a little bit.
Okay. So.
Reggie, I need you to talk to our audience because, you know, like I said, that ain't nothing average. So at what point in your mind did you make up that the NFL is a place that I could be? When did you know?
Honestly, it was never my dream.
Okay.
It was never my dream. I started out in what? I didn't start playing organized sports till sophomore year in high school. Oh. And I started out in cross country, of all things. So after a couple miles of running, I looked and they were having football practice, and I said, that's probably easier than this.
Right.
So I'm gonna do that.
Right.
And I couldn't play sports unless we were on the honor roll in my family. And I decided to sign up without my dad knowing, and he found out later, but by that time I was already in, so,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
it was good.
So you played in the NFL. You said your career was short-lived.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know what life would be like after the NFL, or did that just land in your lap?
I didn't. I had no preconceived notions of what that would be like. I thought, well, maybe I'll go back to being, you know, state trooper, go back down that track, but I couldn't, you know, not after what I saw and experienced, the travel. And I started reading a little bit more, and I read about the owner of the Bills and how he got started, and I was like, ooh, I might want to change my career path a little bit. And so I decided to go into private investing and became a statistic. You know, 78% of sport athletes go into financial trouble after their football career, or athletic career in general. And I thought, throw money at it, and it will be successful. And that was far from the case.
Okay.
So let's get to before that. You're in college, okay? So in college is usually a process where you're gonna figure out, so you're in criminal justice classes, right? What's going on? You're playing ball too? Okay.
I went to Central Michigan. I was my last choice, or I shouldn't say last choice. I didn't pass my SAT the first time. So
Okay.
I was out a little late and didn't quite do it. But the second time, Central Michigan said, we'll wait for you. So after they made that commitment, I made up my mind. When I passed the test, I went to Central Michigan.
Okay.
Had a very blessed career there, broke records. I think I held till 2011. And then comes along a guy named Antonio Brown, who breaks my records. You know, so.
Who is that guy?
Right, so he breaks my records after about 10 plus years or whatnot. And then I was studying criminal justice.
Okay.
And so after that career, went free agency with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
So why finances? You were studying criminal justice, and now you have a career in finance. So how did you make that transition?
Losing 1.1 million in real estate.
Wow.
So what happened is after I came in football, I said, hey, I'm gonna just delve into investing and things like that. Unfortunately, I didn't vet the people that I got referred to and whatnot, and lost over $1 million in real estate, which set me back tremendously back in '04. After that, I really had some contemplating to do. What went wrong?
Okay.
And so when you take that type of hit, and I had to learn, personal credit went down the drain, cash went down the drain, lost properties, everything. So what I did was I reverse engineered the process, what happened. I assessed that, looked at myself. Money doesn't make you smart. It doesn't give you the business acumen that you need. So I had to come up with a game plan.
What did your family think about this process that you were going through? Short-lived in the NFL, now you're losing all this money. Mm-hmm. Was there some naysayers, or were they receptive?
Well, that's an interesting thing. They didn't know. Mm-hmm. They didn't know. Everybody loved you when you're at the height, you're in the NFL, things like that. I had family members come out of everywhere, but when it came to making a career change to entrepreneurship and development, it was like silence, crickets, and most of them didn't know. I had a sister; she backed me the whole time, and that's what I come from a big family, so it was very hard. But I made it through. I learned everything about personal credit, so I built my credit back up.
Right.
When I was in the NFL, I sat out a year, and my brother went to flight school, moved to Florida. I went to flight school, and then I got a contract in arena football.
Okay.
Left it on the counter for a week. I said, I'll think about it. In the meantime, we taught ourselves how to invest in stocks, options, everything. And so signed a contract, fast forward, built things back up a little bit, gave myself a little nest egg, and just went into business.
All right.
Okay. So there's got to be a competitive juice in you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And how does that transfer into the career that you've taken now? Because one of the things we hear about athletes is that, when you compete, and it's something about the competition that gives you some energy, and you need that energy there. So how did you transfer that into what you're doing? Great question. And that's the biggest part about it. For me, if I didn't have an opposition, I'm floating in limbo. Okay. I don't work well in open space. Okay. I have to have a target. Okay. And it's just like in football. Who's the opponent? What's the game plan? And I had to develop that game plan for myself. Okay. So Reggie, look, we're going to go into a break, but I want to get back into that mindset when we come back. I want our audience to understand the energy that goes into that. Okay, let's take a break here.
On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell focuses on educational, humorous, and insightful topics based on extraordinary lives of real people. Each episode provides real talk from real people.
We all just naturally just love each other.
Wow.
And see, we as human beings, we as people, we're visual.
Okay.
We're visual.
They said, you know what, I'm not going to give up.
That's
I'm going to fight. And I believe God has blessed me to do things in a really good way to set good standards.
We need to set the standard that, something, we can do business with black folks. They will travel. They will do meetings. They will be articulate. They will be on point.
Join Shuntai Hill, a certified counselor, and Reginald Allen, a life coach and relationship expert, weekly for On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell. Shuntai Hill and Reginald Allen are the king and queen of relationships. Each week, the couple engages their audience with hot, sexy topics about relationships for the grown and sexy. The show is interactive, fun, and real.
Our next topic. I got drunk. Hold on. I got drunk the other night, and my girl grabbed my ears from behind. So she was behind him, grabbed his ears, and then he smacked her. I immediately apologized, but to be honest, I meant it, and I knew it was her. I felt horrible about hitting her, but I felt good at the same time. What's up with this?
Tune in weekly to She Say, He Say with Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen Bay. For more information, visit shesayhesay.media.
So welcome back. We're with Reggie, former NFL star. Look at you, man. Look at you. And now you've taken this energy here in the competition. I want you to talk more about that, because I know the competitive juices is burning. And so how do you take that to this next level here?
Broader vision. Broaden
Okay.
the aspect of your vision. In football, your end game is the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So what is that Super Bowl for you? For me?
I like that.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? And how do you march that down the field in measurable steps? And that's the biggest thing I had to do is bring it back and how to measure this. Give myself a broader goal, come up with a game plan, and then execute it.
Okay.
And coming from a team, I thought everybody would be on the same page. Everybody has a team mentality, and they don't. So that's one of the things I had to really be selective of who I brought on my team, and develop that team, coach it up, and execute the plan that I wanted.
Okay.
Now, in your career with finances, you're helping people because you experience some downfalls yourself. You lost a lot of money, you lost property. So how did you take that to helping others, and do you have any success? What are some of your success cases?
Well, for example, I had teammates. I did it for me because I had to. I wanted to. You know what I mean? I couldn't leave myself back and cry about what happened.
Yeah.
So in advancing it, and I didn't really think about it until I got a couple phone calls from some former teammates of mine, and they were saying, man, how much they lost in different venues or whatnot. And so I said, well, just do this and just do that. Just do this. And one guy started a business and he was on the brink of divorce because I guess the money he used to have wasn't there anymore.
Okay.
So he started a business. We walked through getting a business plan, helping me out, and he started a lawn care service. And he grew it. And so by the time he sold out of it, he sold out, I think, like $2 million.
Wow.
So he said, okay, and he reinvested in someone else, and we went through the same process. So we went through calls, and he has a friend and other teammates, and we just did it as a small group.
Right.
So I didn't think much of it. And then they said, well, who else can you help? I said, well, whoever wants it. I'm just going to do it because that's who I am.
Right.
Here's the process, there you go. So it was fun. And then my former agent was like, hey, you do know that's called consulting, right? I said, no, they just need help. He said, exactly.
Right.
So I said, well, okay, here we go. So, that's what I like to do.
Okay. So from what you're telling the whole audience, the most successful times of your life is when you just wasn't thinking about it, and before you know it, pay dirt, you hit. How does that happen, man?
Good. Like I said, I don't think much of it. I enjoyed the process. One thing I enjoyed about football is the preparation before the season.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting the preparation right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Selling my TV, working out 2 or 3 times a day, and just preparing. You know, and so I had to translate that over to after football. I went back to school in 2013, got my master's in entrepreneurship. Okay. After I went through all of this stuff, one of my favorite places is the University of Barnes and Nobles.
Oh, look at that.
That's where I really start to build my business acumen, and I kind of relate that and tell players they need to do the same. Money won't solve all your issues.
No,
Doesn't
it
make
won't.
you smart.
Right.
One of my coaches said something important. He said,
Thank you.
being a professional athlete doesn't make you a professional business person. He said, take the same skills, tenacity, determination, and put it in that arena.
Right.
Become a professional business person, professional husband, professional son, whatever that is, you become a professional by
Okay.
using those characteristics.
I love that. Yeah. And so as a professional, once you figured out that I need to be a professional consultant, and I know you from what you're telling me, you looked at some numbers. You looked at numbers, you looked at who makes it, how long they make it, And what's the life afterwards?
My goal was to make more money outside of football as I did inside of football. So I said, well, okay.
I love that. I love that.
What's league minimum?
Okay.
So, and how do I get that? So I create a business for everyone to meet that minimum basic requirement. What's the league minimum, and make that.
What is it now? 500,000?
Close to that.
Yeah, 500,000.
Back then it was roughly like 389.
Right. So we want artists to know that.
Yeah, cost of living, and so I just create a business for that, and that led me to, okay, how do we make this happen?
Right.
You know, so how to start a business from A to Z, and then from there, government contracting, everything. How to do that.
So when you put together the portfolio for the individual, it's for the individual.
Right.
Get into that, because the fact that it's hard as a team player to transition that now into individual. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you're used to, there's something about a team.
Right.
It's something about, but doing a one-on-one, you know, this is what you do as a therapist.
Right.
It's simple for you to say, okay, I know what I need to do one-on-one.
Right.
But to be able to transition this this team concept that you have into this here, tell the audience, how do you do this?
Well, first of all, it has to be flexible. And one of the things about it is, even though you're doing it for yourself or as an individual, people are always going to be around.
Okay.
You're going to need them in one aspect or another, whether it is administrative assistant, marketing professionals, to whoever cleans your office.
Okay.
People are involved. So don't be too rigid in trying to be selfish.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, individuality is not selfishness.
Okay.
You know, and you have to take that approach to it. So one-on-one, and we look at what their goals is, what their vision. We help define that vision for them. You know, I think earlier in one segment you talked about how do you expand that. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
putting together that
yeah,
plan.
you really, it's a plan. You talk it out, you know, and you write it down. Biggest thing is people don't write things down.
Okay. So you have to have a game plan. You have to have
Game
the playbook.
plan.
The playbook has to make sense to everyone, right?
There's no Super Bowl without a game plan.
Okay. I
And
love
then you
that.
also have to make sure, you talked about, and I want to highlight this, it's important to have a good team around you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
regardless of what goals you put down, you're not going to get there just by yourself, just like with the game.
Right.
It's not by yourself. You have to build a team.
And it's not about the smartest person. It's about the right person.
Okay. So that's the key. I love that. The piggyback on what you're saying. So now you got a team concept. Do you run into a difficult moment or a pivotal when you have to tell a client that, hey, you're going to have to cut this person, because in order for you to be able to get where the goal is, you're going to have to take them out of the equation. How does that go?
I lost contracts over that. I was, for example, about 2 years ago, went into an environment where they had multiple clinics. They was in behavioral health and addiction. And when I assessed it and looked at it, it came real obvious to me real fast. What needs to change, who needs to go, multiple people, and even shutting down some of their facilities because they were either mismanaged and just throwing money away. They didn't want to do it, so they didn't have to fire the people.
Wow.
Wow.
So, and
Okay.
the end result was that it was the owner that lost majority ownership because he didn't want to make the changes.
Wow.
So we do have to go to break. So when we come back, we'll talk more about change, and we'll talk more about what's next for you.
Sounds good.
On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell focuses on educational, humorous, and insightful topics based on extraordinary lives of real people. Each episode provides real talk from real people.
We all just naturally just love each other. Like,
Wow.
and see, you know, we as human beings, we as people, we're visual.
Okay.
We're visual.
I said, you know what? I'm not gonna give up.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna fight. And I believe God has blessed me to do things in a really good way, to set good standards.
We need to set the standard that, you know something, we can do business with black folks. They will travel, they will do meetings, they will be articulate, they will be on point.
Join Shuntai Hill, a certified counselor, and Reginald Allen, a life coach and relationship expert, weekly for On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell. Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen are the king and queen of relationships. Each week, the couple engages their audience with hot, sexy topics about relationships for the grown and sexy. The show is interactive, fun, and
Our
real.
next topic. I got drunk. Hold on. I got drunk the other night, and my girl grabbed my ears from behind. So she was behind him, grabbed his ears, and then he smacked her. I immediately apologized, but to be honest, I meant it, and I knew it was her. I felt horrible about hitting her, but I felt good at the same time. What's up with this?
Tune in weekly to She Say, He Say with Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen. For more information, visit shesayhesay.media.
So we're back with Reggie Allen, and he was about to tell us, what's next. But you know what a question that the audience want to know? What position you played?
Receiver.
Okay, then let them know that. Someone just buzzed me and told me, what did he play? Uh-oh.
But as we talk about change, too, you mentioned before in the other segment about the owner and behavioral health,
Right.
not wanting to eliminate some folks so they could save their business financially. It's hard for people to change, but you managed to shift and make changes, effortless.
I wouldn't say effortless. I mean, just to be clear, the transition was rough.
Okay.
You know what I mean? As one thing, I don't know how to quit.
Okay.
That's the one thing about it. When you talk about competitiveness,
Yeah.
quitting is not an option.
No.
And I mean to the point where after the situations happen, I slept in my car, slept in parking garages, all of these things.
Wow.
So going from that and not quitting. Barnes & Nobles was one of my escape places.
Okay.
How I grew and developed. But changing this is necessary.
When you mentioned sleeping in cars, that means that you were transient, you were homeless or something for a moment, or what was going on in your life during that time? Because people need to hear that it was not easy.
No.
This road.
Sleeping in my car. I always had options to go places, but I didn't use them so I wouldn't get complacent.
Okay.
So, some of that was personal choice or whatnot. And I knew I had to make that stand. People like, come on, do this. But I knew if I went and I accepted that, then a level of comfort was going to be there.
Okay.
But as an NFL guy, I mean, you touched that fabric, okay? How do you humble yourself to ask for help? I mean, it seems like that's the toughest part because of the fact that, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know what I'm saying? You're at the highest pinnacle of life.
Right.
Understand that. And for you, just telling the story, for you to have to say, I need a place to stay. I mean, I couldn't see that. I'd rather sleep and eat my shoe, to be honest with you.
Literally.
Literally, eat my shoe and sleep in my car before I would ask somebody. And so how do you get to the point? Does that fuel you to take that to the next level? I just wanted you to share that with the audience, please.
I mean, my sister would tell me, just go, stay at your buddy's house or whatever the case may be. And I was like, no. And it's still difficult to do so. And because you ask yourself, who can help me? Right. Who can understand what I've been through?
Right.
To do all the travel, live the life, and do those things, who can help, really help?
Right.
So I'm a member of the NFL Association,
Yes.
Players Association. So we go to these meetings, and when I joined that later and then heard stories that was probably worse than mine,
Wow.
or equivalent, it was like, oh, okay, but they understood.
Okay.
They can understand what I went through.
Right.
And so we talked about, Shuntai was talking about team, okay? And in a team, there's a thing called loyalty.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think, how do you cut loyalty? Because that's tough, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you that burns too. And so even when you talked about the person that you helped, they weren't willing to cut certain people because of loyalty. Tell us, audience, how do you get there where you cut loyalty, man?
Big picture, and it could be misplaced loyalty. They didn't want to cut, employees that had been there from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And there's a time and place for that. But when you look at the size and scope of this small organization, 4 clinics bringing in millions of weeks, and you're dealing with multiple families that you have to provide for through that business, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 people should not, in my opinion, affect the rest of these families. And then the service that you're providing for such a critical demographic of people with mental health and addiction. The quality of service drops, and they need the best help.
Right.
So I looked at that and said, the people from the beginning, if they're not going to provide that level of service for this very, sensitive demographic, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's a tough question.
It is.
It's a tough question,
It is.
but we want to get into those tough things because the fact that your story is unique. It's unique because of the fact that when we as a audience or we as lay people, look at that, we never see or hear or understand how do you take that fall and then be able to rebuild, because you're unique because most people don't come back.
I really don't watch TV, but my former teammates, they'll call me and say, hey, did you see so-and-so on 30 for 30?
Okay.
And I'm like, no. But they'll tell me the story, and I'm like, wow.
Wow.
And that's kind of what brought me to start helping people in a more broader sense, when these become more and more prevalent stories. And they said, well, it's not just athletes. People who are transitioning jobs, who are lost their job. And, in COVID, how many people lost their income, their livelihood? And for me, COVID has been actually good.
Okay, wow.
I've done over a dozen business plans during COVID, market research and just executing. But the stories that I'm hearing about how many people lost a lot.
Okay.
So that's kind of pushing us to help and put our services out there for the general public.
And speaking about your services, we appreciate you coming on our show and sharing your story. There is a vulnerability to opening it up and sharing it to millions of people, but there's also lessons.
Absolutely.
Right. Again, and just what I said earlier, being an individual, you can't be selfish, you know. So people are important. And working in the behavioral health and addiction clinic, we now have human trafficking matters. We have a high teen homelessness rate, especially here in the Atlanta area. These are things that, in my opinion, that through business, local business, small business, we can help. So,
how can our viewers find out more about you?
They can reach me at Reggie at freeagentlifestyles.com. They can go to our website. It's a landing page at www.freeagentlifestyles.com.
Okay.
They can reach out if they mention On the Couch or Johnell, Shuntai. Just put that in the email, and we'll take care of you.
And I just want to say, resilience does run in the family. Last name Allen.
Right.
They are related. So, but we appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I haven't seen him, he was a little boy. So we were family, but I haven't seen him. He wasn't even playing football. He was just looking around, just playing.
Far from it.
This is an honor for me to be able to talk to you, and
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for
definitely.
having me.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
So until next time, thank you for tuning in to another episode of On the Couch with Shuntai
And Johnell Allen Bay.
Peace.
Love.